Inside the Mind, the official podcast of Missouri S&T Athletics. This episode presented by Missouri S&T Corporate Club member Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Rolla. I want to thank them for their membership in the Missouri S&T Corporate Club and their support of minor athletics. Patrick Murphy here with you again as always. We will be talking baseball on the show today, but before we do, if you could please take a moment to be a friend, tell a friend about the show as we look to continue growing the show and telling the awesome stories of our coaches, athletes, and more. And please be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you may be watching or listening. Also want to give a quick shout out to all of you who have been tuning into the show. We just recently passed 600 total plays across audio platforms and YouTube. So definitely thank you to everybody who has watched. If you haven't watched, be sure to go back and watch previous episodes. It's been a lot of awesome conversations we've had, and there's a lot more great stuff to come as the spring rolls on. I want to take a moment to recap the events of last week, and there were plenty of those. And after that, we'll go ahead and look ahead to the week that is coming. We'll start with basketball. The Missouri S&T basketball teams are on the road over the weekend and last week for their final home games of the season. In the great state of Indiana. Thursday night, Missouri S&T was at Nicholson Hall for the return trip and second set of games this season against the University of Indianapolis. In the women's game, Missouri S&T fell behind early, but a big second half changed the course of the night, and while UND attempted a late rally, the Miners took care of business at the charity stripe in the final moments and picked up a 70-65 win over the Greyhounds to split the season series and pick up a win in Indianapolis for the first time since 2011. Alex Kerr led all scorers in that game with 19 points, finished 2 boards shy of a double-double with 8, and was one of 4 Miners in double figures for the game, joined by Kristen Keys with 13, while Laura Rodriguez and Michaela Davis had 11 apiece. In the men's game, Indianapolis raced out to a big early lead and never looked back. Despite a 10-2 run by the Miners to open the second half, S&T couldn't match the Greyhounds shooting. Ended up coming out on the wrong end of a final score of 80-50. Julian Smith led S&T with 10 points. Caden Froby and Dylan Singleton each had 9, while Ryan Parker, Indiana native, had a season-high 14 rebounds. Saturday, Missouri S&T made their first and final trip to the sparkling new Screaming Eagles Arena on the campus of Southern Indiana to take on the Screaming Eagles for the final time, as it was announced last week that they will be leaving the Division II ranks and joining Division I next season as a member of the Ohio Valley Conference at the conclusion of this academic year. In the women's game, Missouri S&T led the Screw Eagles in the early going, and despite surrendering the lead, managed to close within 4 in the late going before Southern Indiana started almost a parade to the free throw line and iced the game from there, picking up a 63-50 win. Laura Rodriguez led S&T with 14 points, while Alex Kerr recorded a double-double. Had 10 points, tied a season and career high 17 rebounds before fouling out of that game. Fouls ended up being a deciding factor in that contest, as S&T was whistled for 25 personal fouls in that game, resulting in 27 free throw attempts for USI, of which they converted 17, while the Screaming Eagles were whistled just for 11 infractions, as the Miners went to the free throw just 7 times in that contest. In the men's game, S&T led heading into the half and held that lead well into the second period before Southern Indiana was able to pull away in the final 9 minutes. S&T was able to get within 4 in the closing moments, but couldn't quite rally for the win, as USI won the men's game 72-65. Caden Froby scored a new career high with 22 points, finished the game with 11 rebounds for his 3rd double-double of the season. Only Miner to record a double-double this year, so all 3 for S&T this year have been from Froby, while Julian Smith finished with 15 points and Dylan Singleton, the freshman, added 12. Softball opened up their 2022 campaign in Nashville over the weekend at the Music City Invite, hosted by Trevecca Nazarene, posted a 4-2 record on the weekend and got their first opening day sweep since 2006 when they opened up on Friday. S&T picked up wins over the host Trojans and Wisconsin Parkside by scores of 3-2 and 6-4 before splitting the final 2 days. Saturday, they dropped a contest to Findlay 9-3 before beating Kentucky Wesleyan 6-0. And on Sunday, they picked up a win over Tiffin in a early start before falling in their final game to Ferris State by a score of 10-2. Bryn Wooldridge led the way in the circle for the Miners, going 2-1 on the weekend, recording 14 strikeouts and 16 in the third innings of work, while freshman Julia Canoy recorded her first collegiate win and struck out 16 batters in 8 2/3 innings over several appearances, while Charlie Rowland appeared in 4 games, picked up a win in relief over Tiffin, and struck out 12 over her 12 2/3 innings of work. At the plate, Madison Pasolano led the way with a .545 batting average. First weekend of the year, had 4 extra base hits, 5 runs driven in. Shannon Flowers batted .333 with a home run, 2 doubles, and 6 runs batted in. Elizabeth Viox hit .381, scored 6 times, while Wooldridge also did well at the plate over the weekend, drove in 5 runs to help bolster her outings in the circle. Looking ahead to this week, plenty of action going on, though Mother Nature may have some other ideas when it comes to the outdoor sports. I've already had one postponement. Softball was set to head to Jefferson City to play Lincoln in a doubleheader on Wednesday, but those games have been postponed. No makeup date has been announced, as the forecast for this week's looking cold and snowy, starting really Wednesday and kind of running through Thursday and maybe into Friday a little bit. But they're still scheduled to head to Kentucky this weekend for the Blue Ridge Battle, hosted by Kentucky Wesleyan, with games against the host Panthers, Ohio Dominican, Cedarville, Trevecca Nazarene, Davis and Elkins, and Wheeling. Basketball plays their final home games of the season this week, first welcoming Illinois Springfield Thursday before closing out the regular season Saturday afternoon against Lewis. Before the first round of the GLVC tournament begins Monday, S&T still doesn't know where they'll be going, but once those games get concluded Saturday, they'll have a better idea of where they're going and who they'll be matched up against. Baseball scheduled to get their season underway this weekend with a 4-game series at home starting Friday against Minnesota Crookston, with 2 games scheduled for Saturday, with the series finale set for Sunday. Again, if there's with the forecast being what it is, those games, there may be some adjustments to those schedules, but if there is, we'll definitely be sure to make those known on minorathletics.com and on social media as well. The GLVC Indoor Track and Field Championships are also starting this week in Indianapolis Friday, with the final day Saturday. So plenty of action to keep track of this week. Again, be sure to follow along with all those team accounts on social media. And be sure to check Minor Athletics for any news regarding schedule changes, scores, recaps, and anything else regarding those events. We're going to step aside, take a short break, be back on the other side with our first guest on this baseball episode of Inside the Mind, presented by Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Rolla. Inside the Mind, the official podcast of Missouri S&T Athletics. This episode, again, presented by Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Rolla. I definitely want to thank them for their membership in the Missouri S&T Corporate Club and their support of minor athletics. Joining us on today's show first, he's entering his 19th season as the head baseball coach here at Missouri S&T and has guided the Miners to a pair of NCAA tournament appearances, most recently in 2016 when the Miners posted a program-best season record of 39-19. Under his guidance, the Miners have won the GLVC regular season or divisional titles 4 times and have made the postseason every year since 2015. Please welcome Todd DeGraffenreid to the program. Todd, how you doing today? Thanks for stopping by. I know it's been a busy week getting ready to open the season. How you doing? And happy opening week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate what you're doing for the department and kind of getting us out there in the public eye and ear just a little bit more than what we have been in past. It's been a really good thing for our department, and things have been a little bit busy. Not only just these 2 days this week, but preseason in general. Preseason is usually a necessity of a grind that we have to go through every year. So, but things are good.
Yeah, no, I remember how this time of year is always busy. Back when I was a manager and the ops director with the program for 6 seasons. Obviously not as involved this year in the new role as the SID, but just kind of walk us through how's the off season been. I know it was kind of the first true off season, like scheduling wise, having a fall component, spring component in a couple of years, given everything that's been going on with COVID. How'd the fall go, and how's things been since everybody reported back in January?
Yeah, it's been good. We started the fall with 50 guys on our roster. I believe we're down to about 46 now. We had a really good fall of preparation, practices, games, weight training, things like that. Saw some really good things for some new guys. With COVID, it allowed us the opportunity to build our roster a little bit bigger than maybe we had been accustomed to in years past. So then you're navigating through that of getting guys reps and facility issues, weight room times, things like that. But the off season was really good. We made some gains in the weight room with Coach Edwards. He's done a really good job of implementing and melting his philosophy and ours as well, with what we want to accomplish in the weight room, and the guys have done really well in there as well.
And I know you mentioned the little bit bigger roster size this fall. Normally, probably around about 38 to 40 guys.
Yeah.
So you started the fall with a few extra bodies around, and obviously the NCAA's granted those eligibility waivers for guys
Right.
who lost that season in 2020. How has that been managing the bigger roster this year compared to what you've been used to, and then how is that affecting other things like recruiting as well?
Well, it affects you, number one, time wise. We don't have the luxury of space, maybe like some programs do for different things. If we're outside, we can get out, we can spread out, we can do the things we need to do. But when we come inside, it makes things a little bit more challenging. So, having that many guys, you still want to develop the guys that you have and give guys opportunities to perform. But in the end of the day, you still only play so many innings. Even in the fall, you only have so much time in the fall that you can do things. So, you have to get creative in how you utilize your roster, and, you try to give everybody equal opportunity to make a team, in the spring. We did have to let some guys go at the end of the semester. That was just kind of the way things were. We had to try to get things into a little bit more manageable position, roster-wise, and we continue to be creative in how we structure practices, when we're managing the dome time or the indoor cages and things like that. So it's been a challenge. We won't start with 50 next fall. I already know that. We're going to be at 41 next fall, and we're really looking hard at the recruiting side of things where, probably not going to take as many developmental guys. We don't have a JV team. All we have is varsity. So, there's not that developmental program that you have. So we'll probably end up taking less guys, that we feel like maybe could contribute in year 2 or year 3, and really fine focus, what we're looking for in that 23-24 class.
Yeah, for sure. Opening weekend coming up this week. Mother Nature might have some other plans, but Minnesota Crookston coming up for a 4-game series starting Friday. Kind of a familiar opening day opponent. Opened up that really good 2016 campaign against them. Coming, after this weekend, going to Drury, and then you have a split weekend series with Southwest Baptist for the first 3 series of the season. What's the outlook heading into these first couple weeks, and what's the feeling, from you personally and within the program, as you're looking forward to the opportunity to take the field against somebody who's wearing a different uniform?
Yeah, you're definitely. I think everybody at this stage that has yet to open but are just days away from opening are ready to play somebody else other than yourself, and see somebody else in that dugout. There's a lot of optimism that we have right now amongst the roster and the coaching staff of Herschelman and myself. There's going to be an opportunity for some guys to show what they have early. We've got a situation where we're not as healthy maybe as we would like to be to start a season. But I think there's a lot of optimism that we're going to get healthy as we move through this next month or so. And then obviously that's going to change the dynamic of some roles that we have. We've been really happy with what we've seen from our young guys, our first-year guys, and how they're going to attribute to some success. And get an opportunity to learn. It's going to be a learning environment for them. You can go out and have success against your teammates on a daily basis, but it's always a little bit different when those emotions are flowing on game days, and how you deal with the emotion of competition and the emotion of adversity.
You mentioned those younger players, and you got a big group that's coming back. Not just young guys, but a couple guys utilizing that fifth year to come back and everything. But there's a lot of young guys on the roster who saw a lot of extended time, especially on the pitching staff last season. Looking ahead to this year, who are some guys you're looking to maybe kind of take on a bigger role, more responsibility, be it from a leadership standpoint, production standpoint, whatever it may be? And who are some guys on the roster that you could think could have who are poised for a breakout year in 2022?
Yeah, there's a lot of we have a lot of contributors back that are sophomores this year. Andrew Branson, infielder for us, local guy from St. James, had a really fantastic freshman year. He's one of those guys that we're watching pretty close. To build off of the success that he had last year on the mound. Dylan Mollett came in, got some big innings for us down the stretch, both as a reliever and a starter for us. And the same can be said for Eli Gross, left-handed pitcher. He was a reliever for us most of the season, got a couple starts late. All three of those guys are sophomores who have had really good preseasons. Obviously, they're tremendous workers, tremendous teammates, good students. They check all the boxes for you. They're still learning how to compete at this level consistently, because everybody is going to go out and have good days. The separator is those guys that are able to stack those good days and those good games together. They all three have that potential to do that. As far as the first year guys go, some of the freshmen that we're excited to see play. Ethan Morrow, left-handed pitcher. And then we also have Kyle Athmer from Breeze, Illinois, a right-handed pitcher who's had a really good preseason for us. And then Eston McBroom, another right-handed pitcher as well.
Definitely, being able to go out and catch a little bit of fall action, a little bit of preseason action. I went out there for that big 21-inning day, and then got to catch a little bit of the Fall World Series. Definitely saw some of those newcomers. They came out, they looked really good, and what I was able to see with them. So we're definitely excited to see, what they'll look like once the season gets going. You mentioned Hirsch a while ago, assistant coach Shane Hershelman. He's in his second season with the program now. What's he been able to bring to the program, and how has he been able to work with and develop the pitching staff even more heading into this season?
Right. Now, having a year under his belt to learn, what the existing roster has the ability to do has been big. He had a fall with them last year and then rolled right into the spring. But now with those returners, he's had more time to understand who they are as players, people, and pitchers. And he's done a really tremendous job of helping develop kind of a repertoire for our pitching staff, and creating and developing stuff and mechanics. That's his passion, is to help develop those guys on the mound and how they pitch and what their stuff does. We use Rapsodo on a weekly basis to get the data so that these guys can see, hey, this is what my ball is doing. He's also really big into movement screening, where now we're going to train the body to move a certain way to create a certain ball movement and how the ball comes out of our hands. So he's done a really good job of giving those guys a different perspective than maybe that they're used to having, especially the high school guy. Not too many high school guys have that opportunity to go through some of those movement screening classes and find out what their good at and what their deficiencies are and how they can make those deficiencies some of their strengths.
Yeah, no, I know. Just talk with him. He's and just popping in. When you're not in the office, he's always in there. He's always working on something. He's got his phone drawn up, and he's just going through frame by frame, checking guys and just checking positioning. And I know he's been really excited about the Rapsodo that you guys have been using, and I know the pitchers are excited to have that because they can get like real time feedback on all the stuff that they're doing with each pitch. I feel like we talk about this with every coach we come on, with every sport so far. With the GLVC, it's a tough conference top to bottom, no matter how you slice it. And obviously, there's been some reshuffling of the divisions from last year to this year, as far as baseball goes. What's the outlook once we get to conference play in March?
Yeah, we're going to open up with Truman State in March. And then, we're going to roll right into a gauntlet of teams that, including ourselves, all made the conference tournament last year. So anybody that's kind of new to the GLVC and kind of how the postseason format works, right now we're in 2 divisions, and the top 4 from each division make the conference tournament. So on our side, with the exception of Truman State, we all made the conference tournament last year.
You got Lewis and
Indy,
Springfield,
Southern Indiana, Quincy.
Yeah.
So, and those are all traditionally good programs. Some more on a national scene, some just maybe on a regional scene, but all really good programs and really well coached. So, we're gonna have our work cut out for us. There's no doubt to get back to the conference tournament. Obviously, we have a lot of optimism that we can do it. We have the confidence in our players that we've brought in the right guys to help us, be in a position to win a conference championship. But there's no doubt, we're going to be tested.
Yeah, it's always a gauntlet of a schedule. Maybe this year even more so than most, just kind of with how the league's been restructured. By my math, you're the second longest tenured head coach here at S&T, behind Doug Grooms, who we had on a few weeks ago. What's been one of the things that's kind of changed the most, or what series of things has kind of changed the most since your first year back in 2003? Be it baseball, the university, the GLVC, all the above.
Right. There's been a lot of changes. When I started in 2003, and I remember interviewing for our job, for the job, it was kind of an afterthought. Baseball was kind of an afterthought. It was kind of maybe more of a club mentality that the approach was taken, and administration has taken and made a priority of baseball, and helped us become successful. There wasn't a lot of successful history, prior to 2003. They had sprinkled in some good years, but I feel like we've been able to build a very positive culture over the last 18 seasons. And the guys that have come in and worked hard in the classroom and on the baseball field. Facilities have gotten better. We've had some uplifts to the indoor. We've had new indoor cages that we've built. The weight room has been revamped on a couple of occasions. We've had some small upgrades to the baseball facility. Yeah, we would always still like to have lights or maybe some turf for a press box and things like that.
Yeah.
We haven't got to that stage yet. But there's been some positive directions there, and facilities-wise, we were really behind the curve in 2003, but now in 2022, we've caught up a little bit. There's some areas that I know administration still wants to address, on how it can affect the department as a whole versus maybe as an individual sport. But there's been a positive change over 18 years since we've been here.
Yeah, and just the GLVC. GLVC used to be a wood bat league.
It did, right? Yeah. It switched over in 2002, 2010, I believe. 2010 might have been the first year.
That was a wood bat league for a while.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
And we got into the GLVC in 06. Or was it 4 and 5? We were in the MIAA.
I believe it was right around that time.
4 and 5, we were in the MIAA, and then in 2006 we joined the GLVC, and then for about 6 seasons we were all wood bat, and then some of the old regime of coaches had retired who were very pro wood. And then as we got younger coaches into the league, we had the vote, and we voted to go back to metal.
Now, did guys use their own wood bats, or did the team supply them?
There was a combination of guys. We would supply would be composite bats, a combination of wood and a synthetic material. But some guys would prefer their own wood. Some of them it got expensive for.
Oh, I can only imagine.
There were a lot of splinters
at the end
of game days.
Oh yeah, I remember going up to the Northwoods League. It's a wood bat college summer league. There's so many guys. It takes them like the first month of the season to get used to hitting with wood, and they go through like a bat every other day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plenty of teams that have kind of come and gone through the league. St. Joe's, obviously, Northern Kentucky, McKendree's come in, Truman State's come in, William Jewell.
Mm-hmm.
There's Parkside's been in and out. Southern Indiana's getting ready to leave at the end of the year. There's been just the Lindenwood, Southwest Baptist. There's just been so much change, and just how's the league changed, and has the level of competition been affected with all that change?
From a baseball standpoint, we're still one of the most competitive conferences, top to bottom, that I feel there is in the country. And obviously I'm biased, and maybe I have the blinders on a little bit. But I think that, any weekend, anybody can beat anybody. You have your conferences out there that are pretty top heavy, and it's usually the usual suspects every year in the conference tournament. We're seeing a little bit more diverse group of teams have success in our league. It's been pretty fluid as far as the conference schedule has been the last 8 years or so, but we still find a way to maintain that competitiveness within baseball. There's a lot of really good coaches that got a lot of guys that take a lot of pride and are extremely competitive, and they do a great job of recruiting and preparing their teams to play on the weekends.
We'll go ahead and kind of start getting wrapped up here. I know you're a NASCAR fan. I know that's something we always kind of kick back and forth from time to time. And we were talking yesterday when I was walking out to practice with you about the Daytona 500 this past weekend. Have you been able to catch any highlights from that since then?
I would love to say that I have, but I haven't,
yeah.
Unfortunately. And I get a lot of crap for this, and this as being a mutual fan of Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
When Jeff Gordon retired, it kind of, I had to watch a little bit more passively than I had when he was more of an active driver.
No, the same thing happened to me. I still kept tabs on it, but I didn't really keep as close of tabs on it as I used to, and I've been kind of trying to get back into it in recent years, especially the year I lived down in Daytona Beach when I was at Embry-Riddle. Did you get to watch the Clash at the Coliseum at all? I know.
I would have. That was one I had marked. I have it circled, and I have that one circled, and I didn't get to see it. I heard great things about it. Again, it's this time of year for me that there's that fine focus of our players and what we're trying to do as a team, and all of my all my other passions and things, they are definitely put on the back burner this time of year. And unfortunately, my wife sometimes doesn't get the attention as well. Yeah. So, but she's been great, and she understands that what I go through, her being a former basketball coach here. Mm-hmm. So. But when it's when January hits and we are full steam ahead and preparing for opening day and the season to start, I am one-track mind.
Yeah.
And I try to catch glimpses of some things here and there, golf highlights of some various tournaments and NASCAR, obviously. And then, this year I don't have spring training to follow right now, which is disappointing. because that's one of the things that I really like to try to dive into this time of year. Is watching, spring training games and the workouts and catching the highlights, at night of, who did what, at workouts that day. And unfortunately, we don't have that. Hopefully there's a conclusion to that sometime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all looking forward to having Major League Baseball back. Freddie Freeman still hit the last home run in an official Major League game. Go Braves! So, Todd, I know you're busy. Thanks for stopping by today, taking time out of your morning. I know you and Hirsch probably have a practice plan to get written up for this afternoon. With opening day coming up, hopefully the weather cooperates. We can get some baseball in this weekend. Definitely look forward to following along this season, and appreciate the time.
All right, thank you, Murph. And yeah, we'll have an update probably tomorrow. As far as kind of what to anticipate for the weekend. You've done this long enough to know that, we'll make a plan, and then we'll have to make another plan or even another one. So, but we'll try to have something on the books here, at least an idea of what we want to do sometime tomorrow.
Baseball in February in the Midwest. It's always like playing a dice game. That's Todd DeGraffenreid, head baseball coach here at Missouri S&T. We'll step aside, take a break, and be back on the other side with our next guest on this episode of Inside the Mind, again presented by Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Rolla. Inside the Mind, this episode again presented by Missouri S&T Corporate Club partner Dickey's Barbecue Pit, and we want to again thank them for their support of Missouri S&T athletics and membership in the S&T Corporate Club. Joining us next, he's in his third season as a member of the Missouri S&T baseball program. Last season he started 39 of the 40 games in which he appeared, batted .304 with 7 doubles and a team-leading 3 triples while driving in 24 runs, and was second on the team with 17 stolen bases in 19 attempts. Please welcome to the show Brady Voss. Brady, thanks for stopping by. I know you had a lab report you had to write earlier today, and you had to go pull the tarp before you came on with the weather getting ready to go this week and group work coming up afterwards. So appreciate you taking time out of your day, and happy opening week, man. How you doing?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Just trying to keep the field dry out there so we can hopefully play some games this weekend. But
yeah,
pretty good this week. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's always a challenging time. Trying to get games in this time of year. Obviously the weather forecast this weekend is not looking too promising. But we'll hopefully the tarp does what it's supposed to do, and we can play some baseball this weekend. Obviously, it is the start of the season this year. Got Minnesota Crookston coming up. What's the vibe around the team right now as we get ready for the start of the 2022 season? And how excited are you to finally take the field against somebody not wearing a green and gold uniform?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think the vibe around the team is good. I think we're all, anxious to get started and finally, like you said, play against someone not wearing our own colors. But I think it's good. A little battling some injuries here and there, I think, but I think it's looking good.
Yeah, plenty of newcomers to the team this year. I know we were talking with Coach DeGraffenreid earlier in the show. A little bit bigger roster than what this program normally runs from the beginning of the fall. Even still a little bit more now. How do you think having more guys around has affected the level of competition within the team? I know I've heard from a few other guys like Doug Wood, Will Hayes, some of the older guys. And how do you think that has helped everybody develop individually and as a group over the offseason as we approach Game 1?
I think it's a good thing. There's just more variables out there for more guys at each position, just more competition that, that you're battling for that spot opening weekend, and it's just a good thing, I feel like.
You got a new running mate in the outfield, Tommy Reether, one of several newcomers. He's one of a couple JUCO guys, Ben Belgrave being the other one. And then obviously there's a bunch of freshmen this year who've obviously been able to progress through the fall and everything else. Out of that group of newcomers, has anybody really, you've been around the program for 3 years now, has anybody really stood out to you, and who do you think is really going to be able to kind of make an impact as we get going here early in the season?
I think, like you said, Tommy. I played with Tommy last summer actually in
Really?
collegiate league, yeah, in Jefferson City. So I got to get to know him over the summer and whatnot. But I think he'll be a good impact for the team. You know, he's got some experience playing college baseball and he's got a good bat. He can steal some bases. You know, good overall outfielder. I think as well, Ethan Morrow, a freshman pitcher, lefty. I think he has a chance to really make an impact on the pitching staff for us. So hopefully, good thing to see from him. We can see some good stuff from him his first year here.
Yeah, I remember going out and catching the end. I think it was game 3, or at least it was one of the days of the Fall World Series. I was able to go out and take some photos. I remember seeing Ethan pitch and was just really kind of impressed by his poise and his stuff on the mound. He looked really good out there. Excited to see him in whatever role he's going to fill coming up this season. Speaking of this season, this is kind of really going to be your first full season of playing college baseball. I know your freshman season in 2020 got cut short in March when COVID really kind of took a hold of everything. Last year, technically kind of a full year, but all the COVID protocols, a shortened schedule, not as many non-conference games, playing just about a conference-only schedule. Um, what are you looking forward to most about this season? Playing just about a full schedule, having more non-conference stuff, being able to travel to a few more places, and everything else that goes along with that.
I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is actually the midweeks, because last year we only played on the weekend, so we'd have like a full week off, and I think the midweeks will be fun. You know, to travel some places, play here just in the middle of the week, and I don't know. I think it'll be different. It'll be definitely be different, especially with class. You know, having to try to balance baseball and class. I think it'll be interesting.
You're not just saying you're looking forward to midweek so you can get out of class, right?
Maybe.
Um, Speaking about class, I mean, I'm killing it with these segues right now. I want to take a moment and talk about how you arrived in Raleigh. What was it about Missouri S&T that drew you to come to school here when you were looking for a place to continue your education and your baseball career?
I mean, right out of high school, I knew like junior year of high school and whatnot, I wanted to go into engineering. And being from St. Louis, the St. Louis area, I've always heard of S&T and how well their engineering program was. So, uh, honestly, if I didn't play baseball, I probably still would have came here for the engineering program. But I was able to talk to coach in high school and get an opportunity to keep playing baseball, and I'm grateful for it.
You're an aerospace engineering guy. What was it about that particular field that drew you to that? Was that something you were always interested in, or was that something when you started looking at the school, you're like, hey, that's what I want to do? Um, and did that kind of affect where you were looking as far as trying to go to college at?
Um, I think when I was younger, I always had a fascination about space and whatnot, but I didn't really want to go like super specific with space. But I also wanted to go into engineering, so I found out about aerospace engineering through some of my high school courses and whatnot, and that did affect where I was kind of looking at going to college, and then finding out S&T had a aerospace engineering program, you know, that pushed me more to wanting to come here, and I was able to make it happen, and here we are.
Yeah, I know. You say aerospace engineering, probably one of the first places it comes up is Embry-Riddle. Did you look at them at all, or?
No, I did not. I actually had not heard of them until I think after my senior year. There was a kid I played summer ball with who was going there, but
Gotcha. Great place. That was actually my first kind of job out of school, so to speak. I was the sports information intern down there, and that was, aeronauticals in the name. But I was, and then part of campus backs up onto the Daytona International Airport. But yeah, no, it's always interesting to hear whenever we have student athletes on what drove their decision to come to Missouri S&T and kind of what was it about their field of study that drew their interest and why they chose to pursue that area. What's your experience been like as a student athlete here at Missouri S&T? I know it's kind of been a little bit unconventional the last couple of years, but overall, just what's the experience been like for you so far?
I think it's been really good. I mean, I've enjoyed my time here. I've gotten along really well with a lot of the guys on the team, and I've I've had a blast, you know, in the classroom. I like the classes. I like the challenge, and I still get to play baseball, and I got a lot of good friends here.
We'll talk about the off season real quick. This is kind of like again, kind of your first real true year of being able to do college baseball, having a traditional off season, so to speak. What was one area coming into this 2022 season that you really tried to improve upon or really focused on as far as getting ready for this year?
I would say the big thing, especially coming from last year and even throughout the summer and the fall, I was trying to focus more on my two strike approach and like trying to reduce strikeouts and just because sometimes all it takes is putting the ball in play, making putting pressure on the defense, still make that play. But yeah, just two strike approach, trying to increase some of that barrel control and reduce not striking out as much.
Yeah, no, it's I know it's all it's having been around the program as long as I have. I know that's always a point of emphasis with our the hitting philosophy here is definitely using that right side of the field when you get behind in the count and trying to draw out at bats and get drive that pitch count up and try and get the starters out, try and burn through those relievers in the bullpen. Um, Always, it's another thing I like to ask student athletes is kind of what is it about Missouri S&T that makes it a special place to like what is it about the experience of being a student athlete here that makes this place as special as it is?
I think it's the education definitely that comes along with being able to play a competitive level of athletics. It's great education, great engineering program here.
Getting set for the rest of your career and everything. You've been able to like have any internships or anything since you've been here?
No, not yet, but trying for this summer. Hopefully, can
So
make
you
something happen.
definitely in attendance at the career fair last week, then, right?
Yes.
Anybody stand out to you during your time there? Or any promising leads for employment this summer?
Nothing so far yet. It's a little difficult. There are a lot of competition in the aerospace field. So
Is that kind of tricky trying to kind of juggle that? I mean, obviously going out and trying to play summer baseball, but also trying to gain that experience for when you do graduate with a degree and you get ready to enter the workforce.
yeah, it is because I mean, you work if you do get an internship or something, you could work 8 hours a day, and then you have to go get your work in the cage or in the weight room or something. It's just very very tiring and exhausting at times. It can be.
If Brady Voss was not playing college baseball, what sport? Like, if you weren't playing college baseball, what sport would you be playing?
I would have to say hockey because actually when I was younger, hockey was like the first sport I really picked up and enjoyed playing. I played roller hockey, then I transitioned to ice hockey, and I played select hockey. And when I was younger in elementary school, I wanted to be a professional hockey player. But then I started playing travel baseball and more select baseball, and I had to choose between the two. And at the time, I was enjoying baseball more, so I ended up choosing baseball. But if I didn't play baseball, it'd most likely be hockey, because that's what I grew up playing.
Gotcha. Big Blues fan then, or
Yeah.
so when they won the Stanley Cup, how was that for you?
I mean, it was cool to see. Obviously, it was our first Stanley Cup ever, and unfortunately, I think I was working, so I didn't really get to see it live. I was trying to watch my phone, but I saw as much as I could. But no, it was really cool.
Awesome. Well, Brady, thanks for stopping by. I know you got group work you got to run off to. Appreciate you taking time out of your afternoon to come by and talk with us. I said we're going from a lab report to a tarp pull to doing an interview to group work. That sounds just like a typical afternoon for an S&T student athlete. So thanks for stopping by. Good luck this weekend. We look forward to seeing you out on the field, and we'll catch up with you later.
No problem. Thanks for having me. It was fun. See ya.
That's Brady Voss, outfielder for the Missouri S&T baseball team, and that will help us wrap up this episode of Inside the Mind. Again, this episode presented by Dickey's Barbecue. Want to thank them for their support of Missouri S&T athletics. If you aren't already, please be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you may be watching or listening. Make sure you don't miss any future conversations we're going to have. If you have missed any past episodes, you can go back and watch those online. Links can be found all over social media and minorathletics.com. Thank you all taking time out of your day to listen. We appreciate it very much. Thank you for your support. And as always, cheers and go Miners.